Welcome back. This is Emma sitting here on my sofa in my beautiful creative space here in Cumbria, which for those of you who don't know it, it's kind of the Lake District in the UK, the north part of the UK, northwest. It's a very beautiful place. I'm very privileged to live here. I've got fells and sheep outside my window, fells being local mountains or hills. And I'm just loving it. I love being here. I love the peace and quiet of my tranquil little life here, and I send out that peace and quiet and tranquility into the world. I hope there's a little bit of a wave of tranquility coming your way. So I hope you've had a good week. I hope you've had a nice peaceful week and a creative week, and all your projects have gone well for you. It's just it's keeping afloat at the moment, isn't it? And literally at the moment at the float, because we've had quite a bit of rain. So my Wellingtons have been having a good going over, using those a lot at the moment to go across the fields with the donkeys and getting the geese and the chickens in and stuff like that. So it's a pleasure. I have to wrap up with lots and lots of layers, and you think, oh, I wish it was summer again. But somehow the contrast is what makes it, isn't it? It's the grit in the oyster that makes you appreciate the small things and the pleasant things all the more when things get a bit tough or challenging. I mean, when my daughter was little and I used to have to put her in a backpack and go out and do the animals, or sometimes very kindly my neighbour would take her for a while. But we went out together in all weathers, and I think it's a good start in life, don't you think? Just being outdoors. Being outdoors, you just can't beat it. If you can't be somewhere like this, in a nice creative space, doing some sewing, then being outdoors is the next best thing. So what I wanted to show you today was, I did promise I would show you this piece once I got it finished. This has been like my summertime project, post-summer project. And if I stand up, I'll just walk backwards with this so you can perhaps see it. Does that get it all in? I think just about. Look, so you can see it's got these sort of 3D flowers on it and lots of texture. And the back is not finished. I'm going to put some iron-on Vilene on the back and put a hanging device on the back as well. But I just thought you might like to see that it was finished. I don't it's always a bit of a challenge, isn't it? And you start the next piece thinking, oh well, I'll just get on with the next one. But I know this one is lurking, and I know it needs the backing putting on, because it is going into my exhibition next year that we've got going on. So, but I'm very pleased it's finished. It's very exciting. So I thought if you had followed that, and if you hadn't followed it, it doesn't really matter, but that's a finished piece that I've done, and yeah, whoopee, I'm celebrating that it's finished. It always feels good, doesn't it? I think actually making a piece, it's a little bit like kind of, it sort of niggles away at you until it's done. It's like, you know, it's not finished, you need to get back to it. So I've enjoyed the slow process of making it, and now we're in the slow process of making another piece, and I hope you're enjoying this journey with me. As I said last time, I have no idea where it's going to end up. I am just literally putting on a piece at a time and enjoying that process of creating. That's my main thing, is that process. It's not about the outcome. It's about starting. Obviously, you have to start it somehow. And sometimes that's about overcoming a little niggle of fear, I find. Even after all this time. Perhaps it's fear, perhaps it's excitement, I don't know. But anyway, it's just a thing. So let's go over to my table and we'll have a look and see where we've got to with it, and we'll see where it's going to go today. Okay, so here we are back at the embellishing machine. Got my little box of fabrics here that we're going to work with next, and we're going to see where this colour scheme is going to go. Let's see, let's pick a piece. This little piece here. And I'm just going to set off with my embellish and see where it's going to take us. I have no preconceived ideas about this. No idea whatsoever where it's going. Just seeing what's going to happen here there, but that piece wants to go there, I think. So I'm going a little bit slower with this fabric because it's kind of, I don't think hear it, because it's going through another layer as well. I'm just going to take it steady. because I don't bust anything. Interesting shape. Okay, so we'll just pop this one on next. Where's this one going to go? You're going to go on here somewhere? You're going to go up there? No? How about there? I think that one feels like it wants to go there. Okay, this could take a while, so I think I'm just going to work with these fabrics and I'll show you it when I've got a few more pieces embellished down. Okay, so I've just added a little piece of purple on with this pink, and suddenly those three colours are just absolutely singing together. They've just kind of come beautifully together, and I'm thinking this piece might go on there, possibly. No, wants to go somewhere here, I think. Maybe like that. Diddly-dee-dee-dee. This is what I do. I just play around with these pieces and go, well, is that going there or is that going there? I feel as though something needs to come on here, but I don't know what it is or which way it's going. So this is me trying to get it so you can see it all. So I'm trying to show you here. So I'm trying to show you here the whole piece. And I'm sorry, the colours go a bit weird. I'll have to move you up this end. I wanted to show you this end, and obviously this is horizontal. I've got it laid out this way, but really if I just twizzle it round, I can't show you the whole thing because there ain't room, but you can see perhaps that it's becoming a tree. I do believe it's becoming a tree on this beautiful orange and goldeny sort of coloured, mustardy coloured background. So yeah, if I hold it up like that, you can see these branches are beginning to appear, and it just started out quite roughly and it had this flow to it, and I thought, I feel as though this is a tree in the making. So I'm busy working on this bit sort of down this end here. So I'm just basically taking more bits of fabric from my box and I'm just adding them on. If I just, all it was to start with was just this very thin line going down there like that, and I'm just adding these little bits onto it here, and I'm just pinning them on now so that I can then embellish them. I've pinned that one on, I've pinned that one on, and I will put some, I'm going to put some dark purpley down here as well. When I get to that point, I'm going to put these pinky bits on first though with my embellisher. So I'll do that next. I'm just going to embellish these bits down. Take that pin out. Oh, sorry, that was just the top of the, that was just the top handle clunking there. So it's been a very interesting piece so far because I had no idea where I was going with it at all, and I started putting all these pink and purple fabrics on and they became these lovely sort of sinuous lines, rather like a snake, and I couldn't decide whether it was going to be mountains, and then I looked closely and I just thought, no, it's a tree. I think it's a tree wanting to come out. So then, having done roughly the outlines that I'd created, I'm now sort of filling them in a bit more so they're more tree-like. So it's kind of been a combination of letting my intuition lead the way and get me started, which is great because it got me started, and now I'm using my artistic judgment, my eye, my feelings, my thoughts, my experiences, if you like, of looking at autumn and trees and such like, and that's now informing what I'm doing. So it's like this partnership. It's a really nice partnership, and I'm not in any control of it really, except that I'm making some choices, and I'm saying, well, I'm going to put this here actually. because intuition is great, but if you just use your intuition, you'll end up with some very strange things, I think. You have to do a bit of both. There we go. Let's move this down a bit. We'll do these bits down here. So I'm having a lovely time. It's a very slow process. There's absolutely no rush involved in this because I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I'm going to feel my way through it. I'm going to feel what's going to happen down here in this sort of foreground area, what's going to happen at the top of the tree, perhaps what's going to happen on the bark of the tree. It's very exciting because I've got all of these things to explore and find a way through, and it's like a puzzle, if you like. It's like a puzzle, or doing a crossword where it's just a blank crossword with no clues. You know, just trying to make this thing and create this thing and enjoy it and put the fabrics together and let this tell the story. That's the thing, with my input and my sort of, you know, my skill in stitching it and putting it together, and very much my choices, my personal choices. Okay, so I have now started messing about with lots of little bits like this. I've got some lovely yarns coming into the mix, things like this, and I've got some other colours coming in. I've got some of this shruggy stuff coming in. I've got some lace coming in, and I'm just starting to add in lots of other fabric, and it's starting to make this area become textured. So in order not to be overwhelmed, if I look at the whole piece and start going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with it? What's going to go on here? What I try and do is start in one point and just try and make this start to come together. And I find if I pool the fabrics together, put them in a basket or whatever, or just keep them together, and then I just work with little pieces and keep adding them on and being brave. I've put some of you may spot, if I just bring this in, look, is actually this blue from the previous set of work that I did, which I would have sworn was quite navy blue. But if I bring in this beautiful jadey coloured yarn, it's not a million miles away from having a hint of that in this blue, and I would never have thought that it would be in that blue. It's just all the colours that are coming out and mixing it with these sort of purples and deep beautiful I don't know what colour you call some of these, really, to be honest, and adding in the shrug and the yarn. It's all beginning to become lovely and textured, and I just keep adding things in and trying things. I put them on and I take them off, and I add and I look and I feel, and it's just this beautiful, joyful process of letting this thing evolve, letting it create itself with my help and assistance. And I'm just loving it. It's full of texture, and that's what I love. I don't know if you're a texture fan. You'll have to let me know whether you like things to be smooth, printed, you know, organised, controlled, or whether you're up for a bit of wild creativity with these fabulous textures. And this is where the embellishing machine absolutely comes into its own. You could be doing some of this to some extent just by stitching and putting pieces of fabric on, but to be honest, the embellishing machine is just the queen. She's the queen for this kind of thing. She's just the thing to have, the go-to piece of equipment. So I'm just going to carry on with this, and I'll keep showing you as we move further down the piece. It's just going to be a process of trial and error, piecing it together and absolutely loving it. I'm just enjoying it, relaxing into it, getting into the zone. So here we go. This is what it's looking like now. You can see why I had thought it could be mountains when it started doing this lovely curvy shape, but I know it's meant to go the other way up, and that it's a tree. I can really feel that, and I hope that you can see that too. So all I've done so far is worked all my way up here with some lovely embellishing and lots of textures being added in. This is what I find really useful to have, is bags of my scraps. It's amazing what I find in here that I can just use. Little tiny bits can be very useful with your embellishing machine. Plus I've been using these lovely yarns which add in very nicely, and some lovely lace and some very old net. I don't know. I don't even know where this net came from. I think it was a skirt of some kind. Because you can see it's got a seam there. So I'm just using all these lovely things to add texture using my embellishing machine, and it's fantastic because you can just mix the colours, and I really love that. It's just my favourite thing to do. So I think the next thing to do probably is to get this stitched down and held in place, and then we need to be thinking about how we're going to make this tree more tree-like, because at the moment it's just this thing plonked on a background, and I'm trying to feel into what this bit down here is going to be like, but at the moment I'm not even going there, because I know that once I start putting bits of fabric on and playing around, ideas will come to me, because I find that's what works. I don't know whether you're the same. Once you start playing around, things just come. If you sit there going, I don't know what to do, because to start with I was a bit overwhelmed by the sheer size of it and thinking, well, what on earth is this going to be? This is very odd. And once I started putting each piece down, it just started to flow, and I just love that. And I've really enjoyed, I love making texture, as you know, and I just love my embellishing machine. Haha, just for a change. So I'm going to take this over, I think, to my sewing machine. Next, I'll just show you a bit on the back. You can see all these lovely colours mingling, all the different, in fact you can see the circle of the needles there, that's quite funny. But it does a lovely job of just attaching the fabric long enough for me to be able to stitch it down. And then the other thing I've got underneath obviously is a piece of tearaway stabiliser and some little scraps of bits and bobs that have got themselves in the mix. Let's pull this back over, and we'll be able to get going next with my sewing machine. It's going to take me a little while, I think, because it's quite thick and it's going to be a bit tricky to do, but once it's held down I'll be really happy, and I can mix in some more colours with my threads, which is always a nice thing to do. So I think probably I'll be stitching it up next week to show you. I'll try and show you as much as I can. Obviously when it's a bit tricky I can't really film and stitch, it gets a bit too much, but I'll show you what I can. But I think that'll be next week now. So thank you again for joining me here. It's lovely to have your company. It's lovely to know I'm not just talking to myself, so please leave me a comment and say hello. Leave me a thumbs up if you enjoy the video, and I will look forward very much to seeing you next week in my lovely creative space. Bye for now. Ba 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 ba.